Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever you are, where you are, what time it is. Welcome to our time to talk. My name is Rafael Caldas. This is Faye,
Hello.
and we are co-hosts. How are you doing, Faye?
I'm right, thanks. How are you? It's good to see you again.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad. I'm happy to be back. I am not on the road anymore. I am back at home, which is so good to get some stability again. Um, for the ones that are used to us and join us every couple of weeks, we host Time to Talk, which is um, just some time for us to bring topics about mediumship where we can openly talk about it. It's supposed to be a chat where we bring a topic, we suggest something, we start talking about it, then we ask for you to share with us your opinions, your comments, your questions, your cases, and then we can bring them up live during our conversation and make this as dynamic, as back and forth as possible. The idea is to open to have this kind of safe space so we can talk about mediumship openly. Today we are on episode 43, and the topic will be the role of mediumship today. Before we get there, let me quickly give credits to the institutions, the organizations, the groups that help us be here and bring this initiative to life. Our broadcasters. So, first of all, Spiritist Society of London. Both Faye and myself, we are members of SSL. SSL is a study group where we have a few initiatives about studying the books from Kardec, the teachings from the spirits. I'll have online sessions, have face-to-face sessions here in London. If you'd like to know more about what we have, go and check our page on Facebook, like them, follow them, and you'll be aware of everything that's going on. Second of all, British Union of Spiritist Societies. SSL is a member of BUZZ, it's affiliated to BUZZ. BUZZ is like a federation. They're pretty much tries to bring together, organize, and help the Spiritist societies here in the UK. And third one, Kardec Radio. Kardec Radio is pretty much a broadcaster that's been around for over, I think, 12 years now, or nearly 12 years, bringing a lot of content about Spiritism in English to all of us around the world. Go check their pages, like them, follow them. For Kardec Radio, they even have an app. So if you go to your app stores, you will be able to download and keep up with everything that they are offering in terms of content. With that said, today we are going to talk about the role of mediumship nowadays, at the moment, right? I think if any of you have been watching our episodes or any of the past ones, we always talk about the different types of work that mediumship has and how to be a medium and how to become a good medium and so on. What's the responsibilities and the involvement you need to have and so on. But today is a bit of a broader question about how do we bring all of that knowledge about mediumship? How do we look at everything that was studied and revealed by the spirits through Kardec, through other mediums like Chico Xavier and so on, to present day, present life, everyday interactions, problems and issues that we have in society nowadays? What is the role of mediumship with that? So, as I said, it's a bit broader. What I want to invite you to do is, if you can drop a hello, your name, where you're from, in the chat, and what you think the role of mediumship has to play nowadays. Please send them in the comments box, and we'll bring them up and have a chat about it. Faye.
Yeah.
I turn it to you. Where do you think this provocation or this reflection takes you when you think about, okay, the role of mediumship today in today's society nowadays, the issues that we have? What comes to your mind?
Well, first, I think it's a great idea of yours to ask people what they say. I'd love to hear their views, and it's always interesting. What I think is that it brings the topic of mediumship and mediums. I think as real people who live in a real world, a very real world, and in very real worlds, and because that's what we do, and we are people with ability, with a duty and a choice more than anything. Before being it's a choice, isn't it? As it is for everyone, of what sort of footprint we would like to live on the planet, what kind of contribution we would like to leave, and how we can find our niche, where we can find things that need to be done. And there are loads, because the planet's tiny in the whole universe, but it's big enough for us, and sometimes too big, because there's so much going on. Yeah, and I think I would like to people to think of the mediums outside the traditional places. When people talk of mediums and mediumship, it's I believe, I might be wrong, that there's always this connection of the medium to a session, to a medium center, to somewhere, locked in somewhere, working, of course, but in those little corners, in behind closed doors, or not so closed doors, but anyway, not out there in the open as any traveler, any rambler, and anyone who's been out there living in the world like everybody else.
Yeah. It's a good thing. I think with your provocation is an important one, because it's bring the notion, something that we always repeat here, is to expand the idea of the term medium. When we talk about medium, sometimes depending on your experience in your life and how you were brought up and where you're exposed to, you always go to, okay, I think they're talking about people who can see spirits, or they're talking about, I don't know, people who can hear, and so on. And then we always come back to the wider definition of the term medium, like as the intermediary between two things, and that in reality we are all mediums. So that perspective is the one that I think goes hand in hand with what you were saying, Faye, that if you think about every single one of us as mediums, how does that influence, or how should that influence and play a role in what we are living through at the moment? Whatever it is that you're going through, individually, as a family, as a group of friends, as a nation, as a world, though all of those things are like collectively shared. We are all mediums. So how does that bring an additional perspective to those things?
I'd like to try to answer that, just making establishing a parallel, right? Assuming that everyone is able to be literate, everyone can learn how to read and write, basically. This means that some people grow and develop in life to become teachers and scholars and work at higher levels of teaching and scientists and all that. But potentially everyone can be a teacher, even in their little stage where that may be. Everyone could help someone to learn how to read and write.
Mhm.
Even countries, in some, the constitution of some countries, it said, and I think the Brazilian constitution is like that, says that everyone potentially can be a teacher. So a child, a teenager who decides to help a number of people their age or older is perfectly capable and free to do so, because sharing what they've learned is something that enriches them and who receives the information. And of course, the information will be limited, but it will be precious at that time, at that moment, to that extent. And I think when you think of the mediums, like you say, everyone is a medium. It's up to people to decide and choose what they need, what they want, and what they need to develop. And as they develop, the degrees of skill, of that training, of that understanding, and the and what they can do, and how they can use that perception in those different levels. But from level 1, from 0 to whatever, infinity, there's always something that one can do. And if one decides to, I'm in a certain environment, and I feel that this environment it doesn't feel very pleasant, it doesn't feel very comfortable, it doesn't feel very clean. What could I do? I don't have to wait for anyone. What could I do? I don't know, to improve it. Maybe I don't know, objectively speaking, I don't know exactly what to do, but I'm free to seek information, learn, and apply that information to bring a solution to a problem that I've spotted. That's going to ultimately be good for everyone. And I see the mediums and mediumship developed and being used like that at different and higher levels. It doesn't make anyone necessarily a saint, an angel. It doesn't make anyone unknown is better or worse, but he can become a better person as one feels that he's doing something good, that you find that's brought a positive outcome, already makes somebody feel good. And when one feels good, it becomes a better person because it's more settled, it's more hopeful, it's more inspired, and that's what I see.
No, definitely 100%. When you were talking about, I was thinking about there's a almost philosophical element that comes together with this question, which is if we think about mediumship as a skill is not a word, but it's not gift either, as
Ability?
an ability, an asset, something is available. An asset that is available to everyone. Let's say.
Yeah.
Let's say. What is the philosophical question that I think it has behind it? If we start from the assumption or from the understanding that mediumship is an asset, it's available to everyone, there must be a question that comes with it that will be, why do I have this available to me? What am I going to do with this? What should I be doing with this? What is the value or the proposition of having this available to me? Because that is, I guess, the beginning of a change of understanding, of paradigm, that will allow you to see, okay, if this is available, there must be a reason.
Yeah.
And we've been talking here, like in multiple sessions, that one of the reasons of the things that are available to us in this life, whatever they are, from our abilities, intelligence, to our capacity to move, anyways, to our ability to be social, all of it is there for us to progress and to evolve. And that's on its own is also a very wide concept. Therefore, mediumship is probably there available to us for the same purposes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How am I using this to help me in this journey then? To help with this progress?
Well, I think it's. I think we could see that it develops. It happens. It's twofold, isn't it? Because if we are given, if we have this acid that we decide to develop, and then it becomes a proper acid. So it's because with it we are able, even if we don't think we are, because nothing happens just by chance, there's no free lunch or such. So it's because there is sometimes other abilities that we are not aware of, either because we never thought about them, could be, or because we may be too shy or afraid, or not believe that we're capable of the things that we can really do. Yeah. And so the medium is one that can provide assistance at very different levels. And it's a very and it's one that's able to interact with people, with environments, with nature, with the planet, with dimensions in different ways, and very important ways at that. Because as we choose not to refuse to look at things in a broader sense, this means that there is a better understanding and awareness, and we're able to teach. So ultimately, we're always teaching someone somehow for a better purpose.
Yeah. That's true.
Isn't it? If I suppose I say I, because I don't want to say you or everybody, but if I choose to live ethically, if I choose to accept a few things, so look, this makes sense. I think this is why the purpose of my life, or any life. And if I learn something, if I observe something that is bound to be unhealthy, unsafe, physically and spiritually, mentally, I'm going to choose am I going to keep this to myself, or am I going to find a way, a subtle, gentle, but proactively to have a situation mended or avoided, because it can be avoided. It's we weren't born to live in disaster. Nobody was born to live in a disaster environment, because if that would, because I don't believe that would be God's will, so to speak.
Yeah.
If I believe that God is good, then I don't think that he would be like someone Greco Roman entity that would be playing about with those humans down there on planet. No, I don't believe that.
You mentioned something that I think it's spot on when you're talking about the decisions, actions that affect your life.
Mhm.
If you can think and you can assess if based on them, are they balanced, are they healthy for you emotionally, mentally, physically? I think that's what I want to dive. That's what I want to dive a bit further.
Yes.
But before I do that, I just want to say, see, I have some people online, and I want to say, check if they have any comments. I want to say hello to them. And remind them, if you join us now, that we talk about the role of mediumship today. I want to say hi to Elsa. See, Elsa is with us. If you are with us, please send us a note and share with us what do you think is the role of mediumship nowadays. But going back to one of your comments, Faye, if we go back in some of the other episodes when we were talking about, okay, but what are the different types of work that mediums can get involved with? We talked about rescue work, we talked about laying on hands, we talked about healing, we talked about different types of work that mediums can be involved. And all of those things are still there and are still available, and some people have access to it, some people don't, but it's, if you look for it, you'll find it, and so on. What I'm trying to bring today is more of on that specific item that you mentioned. Nowadays, I'm trying to remember the source, so I'm just not just saying from memory, but I can remember. We're pretty much living a pandemic that is across the globe related to mental health, either stress, depression, and so on. And if you think that as a fact, I think that as a characteristic of modern life, and then we go back to our understanding of us as spirits that live on, and that the sparkle, the beginning, the thought, the thing that controls everything in our bodies, in our minds, which is our spirit, is at the center of how we feel, how we think. And then we just put those two together. We already start to see that there is a correlation of the types of problems and issues that we see nowadays in our society that have as a root cause deeper causes or deeper issues than the physical ones.
Mm-hmm.
If we say that the way we think, the way we feel comes with our spirit and comes from the multitude of experiences we have in our previous lives, and we see that there is a big epidemic of issues that come from that, from our feelings, from our thoughts, from our patterns, and so on, you already have a connection in terms of we need to understand ourselves as the whole, not just the physical body, but the spiritual side of it, because that will be the only way to explain and to tackle what is the real causes of our problems nowadays.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's interesting that that you bring this, because I think that what we can do, one of the things that we can do, as we listen to other teachers, that we study and reason and more, is that we've got to keep our feet right on the ground, be realistic, in order to be able to separate what could be a spiritual cause to what is a present cause. And before thinking it's a spiritual, it's something that I bring from, past lives and generations. No, let's analyze what's happening now. And what is the attitude? What sort of attitudes? What sort of decisions people are making or not making that are start to bring these problems, that worsen these problems. For example, if we consider that a lot of the problems that we're having, we're seeing everywhere, of so-called mental health or aggressiveness or violence and all that. And it's not worse because we have more information as such. Some people will say, oh no, but that was, we had that in the past, but not as today. It's when people live without exercising empathy from early age. And then when we talk about, especially if you talk about kids and everyone who grows up and develops their lives electronically connected, but not connected to from one human being to directly connected, observing, sharing, talking to people. I'm not against anything electronics. I love machines. I like all that. But as much as there is a spiritual side to this, there's also a habit that's being lost, I think, which is the one to interact directly to people and think of them as we would like people to think of ourselves. Yeah. So when you get people that grow up or live isolated from family, from friends, from relatives, seeing people cry, seeing people laugh, laughing and crying with them, understanding, sharing, Why is it that schools are encouraging kids to have the pleasure of sharing something? Everyone would take a little, an extra something in their lunchbox so that they can share, so they can exchange, because it is being lost. I can't hear you.
Oops. I love your speech because there are two things that I like to piggyback on what you're saying, but I have two big comments here that from our friends. I want to say, first of all, hello to Liz and hello to Hannah. Thank you for joining us. Liz put a nice message here that it's very similar to what you're saying. She says, today the problems you described are so related with a materialistic way of life that have been going on, to the extreme now, making everyone so lost from who they are in nature as spirits. Mediumship is vital now to continue to call us to our own reality, which is pretty much what I think is similar to what you were saying, Faye, that we're distancing ourselves from the interaction. Those are the words that I will pick back on, the interactions, and I guess emotion, I guess the
empathy,
yeah, the empathy, being able to react to the emotions of the others, put yourself in their place, and so on. And this is for me super spot on.
And I think this is even if people are not necessarily materialistic, if let's give them the benefit of the doubt. I know that this culture there is a culture of fear, a fear of everything. Well, if I talk to that person that I don't know really well, what are they? What do they want from me? What are they going to be nice to me? Is the situation safe? Was it harmful? What is it? So there is a lot of trust on hearsay, a lot of trust on news, on situations that do not belong to our direct experience. Yeah. And more on hearsay and statistics and this and that. Statistics are not are a funny thing to deal with. It's to give you an example. If we have if we have 10 people in the room and 5 of them love coffee, the other 5 don't. Yeah? But I could say 5 out of 10 love coffee. But if you call that a population, you say half the population hates coffee. Right? And that's many times the sort of information or interpretation of facts. So, what are the facts? If we care to observe our environment, observe people, and say, what are the facts? What can we do? And we can decide how far we are ready, we're prepared to go in order to offer some consolation, to offer some charity. And where we draw a line and say, that's it, I can't go any further than that. That's different from us saying, well, that might be dangerous, that might be tricky, so I'll keep safe indoors. And I won't do anything. I don't want to hear. Yeah.
Let me just bring the other comment. It's pretty much similar to Liz mentioned. It's from Hene. I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. I think the purpose of mediumship is to change the conversation away from materialism. I think this is the root of many of the problems in our present society. And I want to go back to what Faye was saying about the words that for me were key words was interaction and empathy, because let me bring the mediumship element back to the conversation, right? Think about how we are susceptible to people's emotions and reactions, right? If I see somebody and they are aggressive towards me, or if I see them saying something they meant to hurt, or if they are sad and I see they are sad, if they are happy, the way they talk to me, the way they involve me, how I bounce back very easily if I'm not aware, very easily from what is presented to me from the ones around me. That is pretty much our nature, right? I think we don't even realize how much of how contagious our minds, our thoughts, our energy, our emotions are, but they are. And why the understanding of mediumship and all of us as mediums is it should play a huge role nowadays. If I can see that clearly when I'm interacting face to face with someone, and if I know that I am all of the time interacting with spirits around me, the same way that I am influenced by somebody who is being aggressive to me or suggestive or sad or happy, I will be with the spirits. We nowadays talk a lot about being mindful, a lot of exercise about mindfulness, and I think it's a very important tool, because in the end, anything that allows you to have a more solid understanding of yourself, a self knowledge of what you are, how you think, how you react, how you feel, it helps you to identify when you are being invited or influenced for something that does not come from you. And in many of the cases, that can be a trigger for a lot of issues, a lot of problems. That can be a trigger that is in a loop that gets you into a specific state that compromises your mental health, or that compromises your physical health.
Mm-hmm.
So those, I can clearly see the overlap between our understanding of mediumship in the wider term, that we are all mediums,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the, I guess, self-help, is mindfulness, is the idea, and the tools that appear nowadays. They're not linked to religion, they're not linked to anything. They are purely linked to your better well-being, you better yourself. All of those things are connected. And I think that's a hidden role the mediumship plays, that if we are aware, we can make it so much bigger.
Yeah. And if I may add, Rafael, I would like to point out, and remember that, please, that's my opinion. We should be very careful with the negation of the material world. We are spirits in a material body. We can't forget that. We can't negate that. We can't deny it. We are here bound by gravity to a very dense material planet that harbors all sorts of life and spiritual lives and influence and souls of all sorts, and from minerals to humans and beyond. But we are material too. We are responsible for this case that we carry about. Some more, some lighter than others, but we are responsible for looking after the whole case, the whole environment where we were allowed and given the privilege to be born in. These are our tools. These are our experience, our school, what makes our school, and our experience, and where we find the tools and the solutions. And the reason why I say that is because if we forget that we are spirits in a material environment, we lose we miss a lot of information, and we lose the sensitivity to understand other people's difficulties and concerns and distress. And I say other people's who are incarnate and the people who are not. Because when we talk to the other dimension, and this is another thing, when we talk to spirits, we're still talking to spirits living on the planet.
Yeah.
Right? There are billions of them living on the planet at different levels of this, different shelves, if you will, but different levels, but still here. So they're still attached, they're still connected to the material experience. They're not less spiritual than because of that. but that's because their spiritual body and their spiritual and their memories are still attached to the experience in the material world. So it doesn't make sense to me that denying where all of that develops will be of any use, of any help to anyone. Because at the end of the day, when a spirit needs help and assistance to be free from the denser memories, it needs someone to listen and to know what they're talking about. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does.
For example, if we see in a session, if we listen to a soldier, and it happens a lot in our sort of work, who's died at war, or someone who's been a victim of war in any century. You can pick any century. When they say what they're feeling, what their doubts, what their anguish, anything that they feel, we need to be aware of the human experience, of the material world experience, and history, and geography, and all of that, to try to understand where these people are coming from so that we know what to say. It's not good to say, oh, no, don't forget about it. What you mean forget about it? It's just been living with that printed in their memory until somebody is able to explain that was that, and helps him in a process to recover, to release his identity from that time in order to move on. Then we're not able to help. Yeah.
When you're describing the understanding of the reality of spiritual life is on its own so necessary to provide the help for the ones in need. And we see that very clearly, like in seances, in mediumistic meetings.
Yeah.
That,
sorry to interrupt you. It says I don't disagree with what our friends said.
Yeah.
Bringing it from materialistic, but we need to understand what it is in order to be able to help people out of it.
Yeah. With that, I also want to say, I see some new comments here. I want to say, I think Liz is making a joke from when you were talking about the statistics. She says that, I heard a thinker once saying that there are 3 types of lies: half-truths, complete lies, and statistics. It's a nice joke from your previous comment. And I want to say hello to Elzoli as well. Hi, Elzoli, nice to have you with us. And Liz also offered a compliment when you were talking about not moving away from material, or negating material element of our lives. She says the challenge is to give the value that it should have to matter and spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that is spot on. Now, how do you see any connection, Faye? Different question here. Do you see any connection between the hot topics, let's call it, that pop up in the world at the moment, and mediumship? So we mentioned a couple of things today, like we talked about mental health and stress and depression and so on. but there's also like a wider group of things. So if you think about social governance, if you think about green technology, if you think about anyways, all of those different like hot topics that come. We talk about diversity a lot. Like there's such a big element of our lives that it pretty much comes from an idea and an element of a social responsibility that is being crossed into other elements like corporate life, professional institutions, and etc. How do you see that link to mediumship, or do you see a link with mediumship?
Well, I think it's if mediumship allows us and becomes a way of seeing, it's a way of life, because it becomes a way of seeing, a way of dealing with everything and applying this ethical element of thinking, of judgment, of seeking the best possible solution in any environment. So it's not one of establishing fights here and there, well, I like this corner, not that corner, this color, not that color. No, it's because every time you limit that, you cut out possibilities of finding solutions. I saw it's in first, I don't know if I'm answering your question. I think in first place, it allows us or encourages us to keep an open mind, to seek a broader view of environments, of happenings or situations, and then so we'll be able to choose, with having those aspects as many as possible observed at least. Then we can start being reason and find what seems to be a more sensible outcome, more sensible route. I don't know if I answered. I think I've got a bit lost.
No, I think that was good reflection. People will take sides. They will take sides, and then what I'm trying to say is that nothing is really forbidden, but it's advisable that we don't lock ourselves to this corner, thinking that the other might not be so good. I mean, it's if I prefer to wear red, it's not because I don't want to even look at the other colors. It's because I've assessed the other colors, and I love mustard yellow, but I know it doesn't fit me. And how do I know that? Because I've tried it, and it really didn't work. Okay, so it's not that I'm not afraid of trying those. Some I said, no, I don't. That's a bit too far out to me. But and in life, that would be a bit, at least keep an open mind to try and understand and say, do I want to know a little bit more? But or maybe not. Maybe what I know here is enough. I'm fine. But not because I don't even want to hear about the rest. No. Lee sent a question here for us.
Okay.
Do you think that mediumship also calls us to understand our responsibility? And I can only answer with a yes. I do. I think people react to the responsibility that comes in front of them differently, right? Either in mediumship or any other aspect of your life. But when Faye was talking about the previous item, I was thinking that we were reading, there's a book called Courage. There's a book of messages. And we were, in our earlier studies, we were reading the message 49 or 48, I believe. 48. And it was a message that the title was The Difficult Time. And that's a message from Emmanuel. And he was pretty much encouraging and talking to us about how the spiritual friends help us incarnated always and everywhere. And that above anything, that help comes through inspiration. So one thing that I think it's important for us to have, I think, is when we're talking about progressing and evolving and changing, and we were talking about being charitable, we're not talking about only being involved with a non-profit organization doing specific work that are good and help that person. It's in every aspect of our lives. It's in everything that we do. It's in how we treat people around us. It's in what we prioritize in terms of the multiple tasks that we have in our list. Is on how we make decisions of how we're going to use the resources that we have available to us. All of those things, it's wholesome. It's it come the inspiration, the help is there, because the plan to progress is not mine. It's not Faye's. The plan is ours, and is bigger than 2 or 3 people here. There's a lot more people involved in this plan. So when we think about progress as a planet, every single positive impact that is generated either from a religious initiative, or from a commercial initiative, or from a legal initiative, all of those things are connected.
Yeah.
And I think the understanding, the reading of that as a wholesome plan. I am not a medium only when I am praying. I am a medium all the time. So when I am involved in my work, when I am studying, when I am discussing something with someone, when I am proposing an initiative, I'm always influencing and being influenced from people on this plane and on the other plane. So when we see progress coming in those different areas, yes, there is an element of mediumship there, because there is an element of a bigger plan, spiritual help, influence, inspiration that is there.
Yes.
If we're going to tune in or not and act upon it is different. I think that's when the responsibility call comes, which is what Liz just mentioned.
Yeah, and you said something that's really good, because one thing that we need to bear in mind is spirits and spiritists, but spirits first and foremost, that we are free. Okay, and when we take this, we shouldn't be afraid of considering every possibility of human life, of activity. Just like if we're trying to solve a problem and it needs funding, it needs fundraising, so be it, let's do it. We'll find the best way to do it. So we're not forbidden to deal with those questions, of finances if it needs to be. If we are working as lawyers and judges or teachers or doctors or whatever, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that we are asking the benefactors, the higher spirits, to do something on our behalf. No. We're asking them, and they will help us to keep a clear mind, good, sound judgment, unafraid to judge within the parameters of what we understand is ethical. Will they bring us inspirations? Yes. But it's still, it's our knowledge, it's our experience in the material world, associated with a sensitivity that's being developed from beyond, from previous experiences, if we are allowed to tap into that thing, and we do. But it's not to say that a medium is working because someone else is doing the work. There is a time and a place, and these are very specific trainings and very specific circumstances for people who are highly specialized to do that. As we hear, as we see the doctors and nurses in some very specific healing procedures. Yeah. But we're not telling a judge or a teacher, so can you teach this lesson? I really don't know what to say. I say, no, you do it. It's your lesson. You do it.
Yeah.
I can give you the strength. I can help you with the strength, but you study your lesson.
It's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Faye, thank you very much. We are getting to the end of our session.
Oh.
Yes. That was a very very wide discussion. It's very interesting, kind of trying to understand things from a different perspective and how to apply those things from our day-to-day lives, and especially how to read. I think the challenges that we face as a collective, that maybe they were not there a couple of 20 years ago or whatever. So thank you everyone that joined us as well. I want to say hello to Patricia. I'll send a message at the end. Thank you, Patricia, for being with us. And before we close, let me go through our announcements very quickly. I have some different announcements today. So let's take a look. There you go. Well, first of all, we have every Monday the Astral City study group. So if you'd like to join us, you have the details for the Zoom call that we have there, hosted by Ebony, every Monday at 8 p.m. UK time. Every Wednesday we have Spiritual Lights with different guests, different topics every week. So tune in tomorrow. It's at 9 p.m. UK time. Well, I believe it's 9 p.m. now that I actually have a doubt because of the daylight savings. Anyways, go take a look at the YouTube channels because they will have the right details there. New one here is the Cardiff Spiritist Gathering that is happening on the 13th of May. If you'd like to join, if you'd like to know more about it, I have the details here. Please take a look. I think there'll be a very interesting event coming up, and it'll be great if you could join. More details in the Cardiff Spiritist Studies. Go to Facebook and type in Cardiff Spiritist Studies, the study group. It will welcome everyone. Thank you, Liz. Liz is just saying that the Cardiff study group welcomes you all. We also have the Gabriel Delano studies this year. Every first Sunday of each month, we have a special session where we are studying a bit more about one of these authors that helped a lot with the studies of Spiritism. This Sunday, 2nd of April, we'll have Flavio Zanetti talking to us about the Spiritist phenomenon from Gabriel Delano's perspective. So join us there. And every Saturday, we have our Medium's Book study group. If you'd like to join us, the details are here. We are going item by item on Saturday. It's a big group. It's a nice study group. you'll be welcome to join us.
And the World Spiritist Month in April.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Start.
and Neil is missing something. I thought I had a paper for that. Do you want to talk about it, Faye?
Just quickly, we're starting the second World Spiritist Month in April. So it's just beginning. And it's going to be a wonderful month of short talks. So we see short videos of all sorts of topics, over 20 topics that of common of interest to everyone, from environment to mental health and beyond. So we have people from many countries presenting their ideas for this debate, and all the videos will be subtitled in 5 languages. We'll subtitle it in English, German, French, Portuguese, and Spanish, all of them. So they'll be available on YouTube. And see, it's a huge list of wonderful
A
people
long list
and wonderful topics. Yeah. So tell your friends, it's not a summit for spiritists. It's for spirits. It's for people, for everyone. It's something hoping that there will be a word of something, a food for thought for everyone on all sorts of topics that are dealt with nowadays. Okay.
Thank you very much, Faye. And I want to say thank you very much to everyone else that joined us and helped us and sent their comments. Liz, Patricia, Elzoli, Elza, Hene. I think that's it. It was a lovely chat. Thank you very much, Faye.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you once again. And we will see each other again in 2 weeks.
Sure. Absolutely. See you then.
Bye.
Okay, bye.